schedule had it so there were a few nights that Austin, Zendaya, Florence, and I were actually together in Budapest. But there was one night they were actually all together. So we all went out to a Japanese restaurant together. We all kind of got to know each other. and I can't tell. I can't tell the rest of the story, man. I just think it's gonna get lost.
Not Josh. Everybody can answer, but please.
No.
Everything are under control right now. All right, now we can do it.
Oh, poor Josh Brolin. I'm Max, this is Flippy a Wig. Right, the cast have marched into Mexico City for the start of the premiere for the highly anticipated June 2. Denis Villeneuve, the man behind the film, was there. Josh Brolin, Zendaya, Timothée Chalamet, and newcomers Florence Pugh and Austin Butler.
I knew that there was going to be a lot of training involved, and then that changes the way that you walk, and it changes the way that you feel in your body. And when you have more weight on you, you feel different, you feel more rooted to the ground.
Before we hear more from Denis and the cast, June 2 isn't out till March the 1st, but guess what? Oppenheimer director Christopher Nolan has compared the upcoming Part 2 to Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, which is incredible. He says, for me, I don't think it says too much to say that if June Part 1 was Star Wars, this to me is very much The Empire Strikes Back, which is my favourite of the Star Wars films. I think a lot of people love that film. Christopher Nolan giving it the stamp of approval is not bad going, although I have high hopes because Denis Villeneuve is one of those incredible directors that really cares about what he puts into the world and always thinks about the audience at his heart. The highly anticipated movie brings back Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides, who reunite with Chani, played by Zendaya. Zendaya fans, we get so much more from her this time round, and we also get to explore this love story between Paul and Chani.
I feel so incredibly grateful, it's something so special, and you really feel like you're a part of something that means something to a lot of people. Obviously, the book means something to a lot of people, and there's such a legacy there. And I feel, just incredibly honored to be a part of something that means so much to Denis as well. And you can feel that heart and that joy every day we were on set. So yeah, just being here, being with all of you guys are so nice and loving, and the energy is really beautiful. So yeah.
Also so cool to be introducing new cast members, including the brilliant Florence Pugh, and Austin Butler has put that Elvis mic down and he is now playing a villain, a baddie. And the training he went under to play this role, aside from the thing he's wearing to cover his hair and the eyebrow thing, it is all kind of like a mask. Don't worry, he didn't shave his hair completely. But actually he did train really hard with Brad Pitt's trainer from Troy. He had to put on some serious muscle, and it absolutely shows. The trailer is really exciting, and I think for me, Austin Butler showing this side of him being dark and being bad and being the villain, I think is pretty exciting. So I can't wait to see him in this film. Right, sit back, chill. I hope you've got a drink. If you haven't, put the video on pause and go grab a drink, a cup of tea, whatever you fancy, and enjoy this very intimate, very special Q&A session. Denis Villeneuve, Josh Brolin, Zendaya, Timothée Chalamet, Florence Pugh, and Austin Butler. Day 1 on the world tour for June 2 in Mexico City. Enjoy.
It's okay. I'm here. It's been a while since you've had one of those nightmares. Tell me, what was it about?
I knew that the first part will be an introduction to a world, and that introduction will be like a kind of an appetizer. And I said that as we were doing the press for part 1, and I regret it, because to say that a movie of that scale and budget is just an appetizer, I was afraid of the studio reaction, but it was true. And for me, part 2 is the main course. It's really, frankly, I'm afraid to say, but I think it's the movie I was born to do. It's a movie where I put absolutely every inch, every second of this movie is coming out of me. It's a movie that I wanted more muscular, more with more action. It's where Paul finally becomes a man, and this makes big decision in order to really avenge his father and follow his destiny and maybe create chaos, or what is the right path. It's a tragedy.
Nothing's clear.
In all seriousness, I think the only inaccuracy that Denis said is that he is born to do every movie that he's done. He's just getting better. It's just true. The talent is growing, and he challenges himself. And there's very few. Stop! Don't talk. I'm talking. There's very few directors that continue to challenge themselves, especially with the growth of their celebrity. And I've never seen somebody go so deep with their work, and it's wonderful because Sicario was a masterpiece in itself. Dune 1 was a masterpiece in itself. Something happened here. I don't know what, but I think everybody feels it, so it's wonderful.
For me, it's a dream come true. As Denise said, I feel like the first film was sort of laying the foundation for this film. I'm hugely proud to be up here. These are all people I admire deeply, genuinely. So I'm just enjoying every moment of this. This is, I'll be lucky, and I hope to be in more great movies, but I'll be lucky to be in a movie, you know, this good ever again.
I think what I really appreciate that Denis brought forward with Chani in this iteration, I think, is really giving her strong convictions and a real strong sense of self. And I think for me, that was enjoyable as an actress because it made the whole love story much harder and more difficult, which means we had to earn it. And their love isn't given. It's something that they, you know, they have to work for. And she comes into it extremely guarded with a lot of pain surrounding what Paul really represents in her life. And so I think for me, it was exciting because I was like, oh, there's this internal, constant dialogue I think she's having with herself over whether or not she should allow this person in, and whether or not it is safe to love. And I don't know. So the love story was interesting to find with someone who is so intensely fierce and strong and guarded for good reason.
Deal with this prophet. Send to Sussex.
Fade Rother. He's psychotic.
Yeah, my fear was to end up playing a caricature in some way, you know, and so to find the childhood that leads to somebody becoming like Fade, you know, the brutality that that he grew up in, that violence being power, you know, and having somebody like the Baron as your ultimate view of power, what that does, what you end up soaking in. And so then that changed, you know, what I did vocally with it and that sort of thing. So you just find all those little keys in, and then we get on set and we just play. And it was so much fun.
We have a very unique position, which is that we got to fall in love with the movie as everybody else did, as the world did. We got to see not only just how incredible the story was and these characters were and this world was, but we also got to see just how important it then became to so many people. It was a phenomenon, like it literally was a ripple effect. So not only was there that going on, and then there's a conversation of a second movie, like the idea of being in a second movie was then basically like the best gift ever, because we knew what we were walking into, and we knew that it was very, very special that we were able to walk into it. I watched the first movie, and I remember chatting to my team and just gassing about it. It was just like, I hadn't seen anything like it for such a long time. And basically all of us were pleading that if there was ever anything to do with the second, could I be a part of it? And then I had a wonderful coffee with Denis when I was in LA. And then the rest kind of followed. And then I was able to go and be a part of this world, which is still crazy. Like, to be a part of this press tour, it doesn't really feel real. It feels like a gift. It feels like we've been given this unique opportunity to go to, like, I don't know, I've said it before in press, but like adult Disneyland. It's like, you know, not only did we get to go to set, but we're now like in it and talking about it. And it truly is such a special feeling being a part of something that will mean a lot for a very, very long time to a lot of people for a very, very long time. So yeah, I think I'm just like soaking all of this up and making sure I'm awake and I'm remembering it all. And it's really pretty fucking cool, actually.
Nothing's clear.
Well, I feel like at the beginning of the first movie, you know, Paul's literally behind walls and sort of has a royal background and I think is virtuous in some way but hasn't been tested at all. He's literally the son of a duke. Obviously, personal tragedy befalls him over the course of the first movie. He finds himself on the run at the end of the first movie. Without giving too much away, even though everyone here saw the movie today, right? So the spoilers have happened. But I think by the end of this film, we see someone who's not only stepped into his manhood, into his adulthood, but is almost accepting a leadership position that he's very reluctant to. You know, is sort of wanting to embark on a different path with Chani, where he'd be taken as he was, and instead destiny calls him, and he can't refuse his destiny.
The gift of being able to see the first film, and I've been a fan of every one of Denis' films beforehand, and then to see Dune and know the scale and the texture and the feeling of it and the intensity and the beauty. It was one of those things that I thought if I ever got a chance to be in something like that, I would do anything to be a part of that. And then our wonderful casting director Francine Maisler connected us, and so Denis and I had coffee and we just talked for hours. And coffee seems to be that's the trick.
A good way to get a job.
I'm a cheap date. They buy a coffee. I'm all right. You get a part.
Yes, we had a glorious coffee, and then we started going on the journey together. And this was such a fun character to get to dig into. Maybe the most fun I've ever had, because there's so much possibility, and so yeah, we had a blast. I feel endlessly grateful.
Team and I wanted the movie to come in the world as soon as possible, because it's not a sequel, it's really the second part of the story. And the beauty of that, it was the first time that I was going back to a world. The beauty of it is that all the research and development, all the R&D, all the design, I mean, Patrice Vermette had already started, as we were doing part one, he had already started the development of the look of the movie. We were like, we had like we knew a lot, but this movie was definitely much more ambitious. There's much more action into it. Much more complexity, as Monsieur pointed out, and yeah, it was like a challenge of every day. It was by far the most complex movie I ever made.
What we do for the benefit of all.
Well, I'd very much like to be equal to you.
Maybe I'll show you the way.
Well, I play Princess Irulan, who is the fantastic Christopher Walken's daughter. He plays the Emperor. I'm not actually his daughter, just in case. Yeah, I think something that I really, really loved about her is I don't think I've ever played a character as quiet as her before. I'm usually really grabbing hold of someone that is feisty and opinionated and loud and bullshit, and I think probably for the first time I'm playing someone that is unbelievably calculated, and you're not quite sure what's going on in her head at any given time. And I loved reading that in the script. I loved the way that it watched her watching. Like, you were never quite sure what she was clocking onto, what she was listening to, what she was taking note of, until the final scene when you realize that actually she's probably been aware for a long time. Yeah, she's an exciting role because I know that it ends on a ... And I think for any actor, having a character that only kind of breathes potential of what's to come next is the most thrilling thing, especially when you're in a cast like this. Zendaya and I have been talking for the last week about like how excited we are to see what happens, and how we'd love to be a fly on the wall to see what happens between them. So yeah, I think for me, I kind of had the perfect bit where I came in for a month and then I got out. So I got to absorb everything. I got to watch everyone that I love. I got to be around this cast that I've admired for such a long time. And then I don't know what happens next. So yeah, it was a real pleasure, and a real pleasure playing someone like Princess Irulan.
we're doing that scene where he pops out of the sand, where Paul pops out of the sand, and Gurney sees Paul for the first time. And I had done it, you know, in whatever way I was doing it, you know, whatever gruff way I was doing it. And Denis said, was irritated, which he usually is with me, Denis, and said, where's the vulnerability? Like, where's the vulnerability? And I remember we did one take, and it truly felt vulnerable, and that's the take that he used. And I love that take so much because I see the love in that take.
I see possible futures all at once.
Denis, amongst all the glorious scope of the movie and the epicness, found these tender human moments that oftentimes were just done in what he calls glance passes, which, you know, is just like, hey, just look at each other. Just look at each other from across the room, and that might be enough. And there are, you know, all the moments between the moments where they're not saying anything at all. That helped us to build something strong. And I think we all felt like we had to earn this love story too. It wasn't something that was handed to us either, you know. And so along with them fighting for it, we had to fight for it too. And yeah, I think it's an incredible, for her to trust it all is one thing. And when she does, we'll see. Well, I can't really say what happens, but there's it's heavy. Yeah, it's not an easy thing.
There's very few. Oh man, I'll start crying if I do this. Oh, stop, man. There's very few filmmakers that show up when you have a love of film like I have. When you grow up and film is your friend, film is your teacher, film is your mentor. And then a director comes by once in a while. My father mistakenly, as a horrible parent, took me at 11 years old to see Apocalypse Now, and it changed my life. He didn't know it was going to change my life. I think he was trying to destroy me at the time, but it changed my life. There's certain movies that you see, and then to actually be a part of that process with great directors and directors that can do intimacy along with scope is very, very, very rare. So there was nothing about this process of making Dune that didn't feel intimate. And that takes a very special person that I think Denis is very, very much. He's totally socially inept. He will have no idea what to say to you during coffee. But man, can he direct a fucking film, huh?
Thank you, Jutta. You're sweet. I love you, Jutta.
In so many futures, our enemies prevail. But I do see a way. There is a narrow way through.
It's flipping exciting. I cannot wait for it. Dune 2 is out March the 1st. They arrive in London, I think, end of next week on a Friday. So for the next 2 weeks, we are going to just see them descending on different parts of the world. And also look out for what Zendaya is wearing, especially because she's theming every outfit around her character Chani. So it's very inspired by Chani, the robes and the way she's wearing her hair. I love that. And Timothy recently said that Zendaya's inspired him also to kind of choose his looks around the character he's playing, which I think is really exciting. Listen, the next 2 weeks, they're going to be all over the world. I'm going to do my best to share as much as possible because, like you, I'm a huge fan of these films and I cannot wait to see Dune 2. They arrive in London next week, I think Friday. I think they may be ending the whole tour in London, and I hope I will be there to bring you all the action. Guys, subscribe, turn your notifications on, and I'll be back soon with more videos.
We made the second film just for the fans here. If ever they haven't seen the first movie, we did the second movie thinking about them. At the beginning of the movie, there's like a little, all the information we need to know. So it's better to have seen the first film, but if you have not seen it, you can still enjoy the part 2. That's what I will say. And I will say in the name of all of us, even Josh, that honestly, we are very proud to be here. Thank you for welcoming us.
My allegiance is to you. Do you believe me?
This is a form of power that our world has not yet seen. The ultimate power.
I want you to know I will love you as long as I breathe.
You will never lose me as long as you stay who you are.
Consider what you're about to do, Paul Atreides.
Silence!
This prophecy is how they enslave us!